This is the Nerdy Romantics Podcast, and I'm your host, Y.M. Nelson. On today's episode of the podcast, we will be talking with Jo McNally, an award-winning author of contemporary romance. She writes stories about characters facing real-life challenges with real-life consequences. The stories are emotional, but they still have humor, and love always finds a way to pull the characters through together. She has written for Harlequin Super Romance, Harlequin Special Edition, and HQN Books. Jo lives in upstate New York with 100 pounds of dog and 200 pounds of husband. Her slice of the bed is very small. When she's not writing or reading romance novels or clinging to the edge of the bed, she can often be found on the back porch, sipping wine with friends, listening to an eclectic playlist. If the weather is perfect, she might join her husband on the golf course, where she always feels far more competitive than her actual skill level would suggest. Let's take a listen to what Jo McNally has to say about When Sparks Fly, her latest in the Rendezvous Falls series. Hello, Nerdy Romantics! Today we are here with Jo McNally, and she has written book 5, yes?
Of this series, yes.
Of this series. I don't know if you can see it, everybody. When Sparks Fly. Absolutely love this book.
Oh, good.
And I just want to welcome you to the Nerdy Romantics Podcast.
Well, thank you. I was very excited to get the invitation. It's like, I wear my nerd flag high.
Yay! Okay, I love it. So, what are you most nerdy about?
Oh gosh. Well, I'm very much the introvert when it comes to things. So I think that kind of helps me fit into the nerd crowd.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily computer savvy, but I like messing with it and trying to get technology to work.
Yes.
Some of my best friends were in the IT department at work because I would just bug them all the time.
Right.
You know, like, why does turning it off and turning it back on again help?
Right, exactly.
But I want to understand how things work.
Yeah. Yep. And I noticed that you kind of put a little bit of that in this book with your heroine in this book, yes. Zoe. And she's like a Miss Fix-It. And yes. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I just have to say this right now. I was going to save it till a little bit later, but I love the Miss Fix-It part, and I saw on your bio that you kind of are a little bit of a Miss Fix-It too.
Yeah.
And I have to know, because I have an alter ego, Weekend DIY girl, and she loves HGTV.
Oh, yeah.
Are you an HGTV person?
Love it.
Oh, my gosh, yes.
Or should I say love it or list it?
Right, exactly. I was going to ask you, secondly, who are your favorite HGTV celebrities?
Honestly, I loved the Property Brothers. I think they're still on too, but I just love that show. And I love Love It or List It too, because what she does when she goes into a house just boggles my mind.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. It's like, really?
Yeah.
I couldn't think of it.
I have a friend who's an interior designer, and she's brilliant. And she would come in and she'll just move 3 things in the room, and it looks completely different. And it's like, how do you see that? How do you, I'm not bad when it comes to decorating, designing, but it takes me forever. I have to try, I have to move the furniture 10 times.
Right.
Whereas she just comes in, it's like, oh, put this here and that there. It's like, why didn't I think of that?
I want to get to that point too. Yeah. Yeah, she's gonna have to show us how she does it.
Exactly.
Do a mind meld with us,
Yeah,
something.
something.
Whatever. It's like whatever, because I really want to get to that point. Right now, I'm at the point where I'm scared of doing a few things,
Yeah.
because I'm like, I don't want to break something,
Yeah.
but I'm trying to get over that fear.
Yeah.
But
Be bold.
but,
Yeah.
but anyway, back to this book.
Yes.
When Sparks Fly, and book 5 of the Rendezvous Falls series. I love it. I love it.
Oh,
But I will say from this cover, I thought they were going to be younger.
I know. It's
And but when I started reading,
yeah.
I'm gonna stop you because I don't want you to apologize for that. When I started reading and I saw that these were people who were in their 40s,
Yeah.
I was so happy. I'm middle-aged and I want to
Yep.
see middle-aged people fall in love.
Exactly.
If it's got to be again, fine. If it's got to be for the first time, fine. But that's what I want to see in my romance novels. And I am so happy to see that here.
Yeah.
So, I've got to ask you, is this kind of where, for those who this may be their first book of yours,
Right.
is this kind of where you are as far as your heroes and heroines, or is this the first time you've forayed into middle age? I hate saying that
I
word.
know. Yeah,
really
it's that generally my main characters tend to fall between 35 and 40. They're kind of in that range. There's a few exceptions, but
Yeah.
for the most part, I like people with some life on them, some
Yes.
life experience and
Okay.
all the depth that I think that brings to a character.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So we're going to be seeing more people in their 40s
Oh,
in
absolutely.
subsequent. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm down
absolutely.
with that.
Yeah.
I love it. And I also love that Zoe has a teenage daughter.
Yeah.
And so you do get that Gen Z, because this is contemporary romance, everybody.
Right.
And so you do get that Gen Z. I'm trying to figure out how you navigated. Do you have kids or the kids around? How did you get the vernacular? How did you make her as realistic as you could as a teenager? Which is
don't have children of my own, but thanks to my husband, who is a little bit older and had children, we have 7 grandkids, and they're all high school, college age. So some of it was from that. And honestly, I just put the question out on Facebook on to my personal friends and to my readers and said, what's a 13-year-old girl going to do, say, and people were like, her face is never going to come up from the phone. And some of the lingo, my one of my nieces actually works in pediatric psychology. So she was saying she works with teens a lot. So she gave me a lot of the common words or the slang or what they're watching and things like that. So that helped too.
Wow. Oh, that's good, because she reads so realistic, and I'm good. Like, yes.
Yeah.
I can't relate to this character, but I can definitely relate to her mother. I'm like, I love it. I mean, I think she was very well done. I will say though, and I guess this is probably because I don't have children, is that dynamic between her and her daughter, when your hero came into play, Mike, that dynamic was so heart-wrenching, I guess. It was just like, oh my gosh, I feel stuff. All the feels, as they say.
Right.
Having all the feels here. And I was a little bit annoyed with Hazel at that point, but
well, 13-year-old girls can be annoying.
Yeah, exactly. She's a teenager, and too, she was going through some of her own stuff, but but I like how you have all the layers of these characters what they're going through and those situations in a small town. So is that kind of what you like to do, is layer those characters, with those, they have real problems. These are not billionaires
Right.
gallivanting around. So
Yeah.
is that like your sweet spot?
Yeah, definitely. I want to put people in situations and have them react like as you say, as real people
Yeah.
would. What would I feel in that situation? Or more importantly, what would this character, you have to get into the character's mindset. How would they respond? And I try really hard to get it right in those situations, that it feels genuine.
Yeah.
And that it feels genuine to what the character would do, but it also feels genuine to what the reader how they might react. If
Right.
they have a teenager, they might have said, oh yeah, that's how I would say it too. And trying to avoid the stereotype, the stereotypical teenager, the stereotypical ex-husband. I try to just avoid those, the villain and everybody has layers to them.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And it's like, as much as I wanted to hate certain people, you couldn't totally hate them.
I know.
Because they're just too real. It's like, I just know this person.
Yeah.
Part of the hate is like, oh, well, I see why they act like they do, because they got this going on.
Right.
But I will say, though, I do hate Karen.
Oh, yeah.
I love that you named her Karen. Did you do that on purpose?
Yes. Yes.
I love that. Oh my
I couldn't resist.
I love it so much. I'm like, yep, she named this person Karen on purpose. And she's the only one I was like, oh.
A lot of my books, I take little tidbits. I mean, when you're an author, you're always observing. You're always recording everything that you see and everything that happens. And, you're tucking little things away or pulling things out that you've experienced. And we had many years, well, it was 26 years ago, when right around the time we got married, and we had neighbors who were unpleasant. Busybodies. They didn't like where we put our shed, and long story, but we had to go to town court and fight them, and we won. But I kind of pulled on that, like, why are people paying attention to what I do on my own property? And so I tried to pull from those emotions I had and then layer them into what was happening in the book too.
Exactly. And you did it so well. I love
thanks.
it. So let's take a little step back and ask, for those who are listening, who are just learning about you, talk a little bit about Jo. So how did you get started writing?
I'm one of those that I just, from the time I was little, I wanted to write. I was a big reader. And the more I read books as a child, especially once I got into chapter books, like Walter Farley's The Black Stallion and things like that, I wanted to do that. As I'm reading the books and getting lost in them, I was also thinking, I want to create worlds like this. I want to write these stories. My girlfriend and I would sit and write out books, and in notebooks. And
oh, wow.
It was something I always dreamed of doing, and life just got in the way. Confidence got in the way. I got into the corporate ladder routine and just kept working and thinking, someday I'm going to write. And then I was in my early 50s when I just realized it was now or never. I literally went to, it's a funny story. I went to my friend asked me to go to her daughter's Girl Scout troop career night. And she wanted them to see a woman in the business world. So, I was one of the people, there was a nurse and a teacher and whatever. And they have all these little questions set to ask. And so as they sit down, they just kind of fill in the blank of what your job is. And at the time I was international director of customer service. And so I sit down, this little girl looks at me and says, did you dream of being the international director of customer service when you were a little girl?
Wow.
And it was like a lightning bolt went off in my head. It was like, no, it's like, and, I answered it with, I stayed smooth in the conversation. And she said, well, I've always wanted to help people. Customer
Right.
service, we help people, we make people happy.
Right.
But I couldn't get that question out of my head for like weeks afterward. I was going, I always wanted to do that. I've always believed I could do it. I've got to do it.
Yeah.
I have to start right now. And I
Yeah.
literally within 3 weeks had started writing a book that never got published, but it was my practice
Of
book.
course.
Yeah. Every author has a practice book.
Yep. That's true. Very true. And so after you did that practice book, so how long, because for our audience, some of our audience are writers.
Mhm.
So how long did it take you to get from I want to write to writing for HQN?
Trying to think. It was probably 2 years. I wrote the practice book, my billionaire mystery thriller. It was like every trope you can imagine. It was all combined in this one book, but it was
Oh,
good
wow.
practice. And then I wrote the next book, and that was better. And then I wrote the one after that, and that was definitely more marketable, ready to be marketed.
Mhm.
So it was probably 3 years. And then I went to actually an RWA convention in New York City. And you got like these little 10-minute pitch sessions.
Yep.
And I went to a pitch session with a Harlequin editor and sold the book in that
Wow.
pitch session. And that was with
Nice.
Super Romance, which is no longer
Right.
part of the line. But then I went into special edition with that series. And then a few years later, when with the HQN, I still write special edition. I do both now. I do the shorter novels and the longer ones.
Oh, okay. All right, great. So tell us a little bit about Rendezvous Falls, since this is book 5.
Yes.
So tell us about Rendezvous Falls, small town. Yes. How did
I
you
wanted
come
to
up with Rendezvous Falls?
Well, I wanted, first of all, never name a series a word that you can never spell correctly the first time. I misspell rendezvous all the time. And actually, on the first cover, the art department misspelled it too, but I caught it.
Oh, wow.
But I live in upstate New York, love the area. My special edition series is set in the Catskills. I wanted to set this one in wine country in the Finger Lakes. And one of the things in that area, it's a beautiful, beautiful area. And it's famous for its waterfalls, which is how Rendezvous Falls came to be.
Okay.
But it also has a lot of Victorian houses, I should say, with all the gingerbread and the colorful paint. And there's a couple of towns near here. Skinny Atlas was kind of the inspiration for it.
Okay.
But I decided, okay, I want some of those Victorian homes. And then I decided, what if the whole town is Victorian homes? And what if they're all just crazy colors and this is what the town is famous for? And it's still at the same time, I wanted a small town that still had, that wasn't as isolated, that had the diversity that I think every community needs. So that's why I put a small community college there.
Yes.
So that kind of brings in the younger factor and keeps them from being too isolated in the world. I wanted to make sure that it wasn't an island. I wanted it to be a community that's part of the world at large.
Okay. Yeah. And it does feel that way.
Oh,
with all the colorful characters too, which we'll talk about in just a minute. But I'm so excited about this book. I forgot to ask you. Tell us, listeners, see, I've already read it, so y'all just got to go out and get it. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Just go out and get it. But tell listeners what this particular book is about. When Sparks Fly.
Well, When Sparks Fly, with Mike and Zoe, I wanted to write. Everybody likes friends to lovers trope, and I wanted to tackle that, but really dive in. I tend to be a what if writer when I'm putting my story at what if this, well, all right, what if then I add this layer? You talked about layers.
Right.
So they're not only friends, they're best friends. They've been best friends since 3rd grade. And Mike has a twin sister. So the three of them, the town used to joke that they were the triplets whenever they were together. They spent so much time together. So they just know each other so well. And it's ironic because it's my homage to the fact that men and women can be friends like that, can have those long-lasting friendships and just remain friends. But because it's a romance novel, they couldn't just remain friends.
Gotta have that HEA.
They had to fall in love. Yeah.
Otherwise, it's women's fiction at that point. Yeah.
So it really started with that. They've been friends since third grade. They've been best friends. They joke with each other. Mike lost his wife, and it really kind of their friendship rekindled as a friendship because she started sending him silly stories, things to make him smile. Everybody else was tiptoeing around him, but she'd known him so long and knew him so well. She knew he needed just to smile, to laugh once in a while. She started texting him silly, Bigfoot stories and things like that. And he started texting back riddles. So they developed this friendship. She's now divorced, starting a new life as a single mom with her daughter, running her father's repair business. And as they spend more time together, things start slowly heating up. Between them, Mike is beginning to realize he's attracted to her as more than just a friend, but neither one of them want to ruin the friendship that they've had. I mean, they're 40 years old. They've been friends since third grade. And she also has that 13-year-old daughter to think about. She's just gone through a divorce. Her husband's remarrying. Her husband's having a new baby with the new wife. The daughter is going through a lot. Yes. And Zoe has promised this is a year of Hazel. Everything's going to be about Hazel. Hazel has told her mother, I don't ever want you dating ever, as 13-year-olds can do.
Right.
So they have to juggle all that to figure out how all of them are going to have to bend a little bit and change expectations in order to get to that happily ever after.
Oh, it's great, y'all. It's great.
Thank you.
I love it.
It's a lot of fun. I mean, it's fun writing a friendship like that, because it's just, they're so silly with each other. And, even the all is lost moment when things fall apart, I was giggling as I was writing it, even though it's emotional, it was still a really funny scene.
Yes. Yes, definitely is. At first I was like, oh my gosh, small town, but now we get the whole small town vibe. And I think that, a lot of their features or personality traits like come alive in the small town, but also in this small town, because it is a small town and everybody knows everybo's business.
Yep.
There's other stuff going on in this small town as well. We mentioned, I briefly kind of talked about, or we briefly kind of mentioned that the main characters are in their 40s, but then there's this whole book club of ladies. Remind me the name of their book club.
They're just
the book club.
Yeah,
right?
They're just just a rowdy group of
right.
Yeah.
They're a book club that doesn't read the book.
That's right. And they're very sassy with each other. They're not. I like to say they're the type of seniors that don't sit around baking cookies. They're more likely to be, drinking whiskey and telling dirty jokes.
Exactly. And so that's kind of what I wanted to talk a little bit about. I like the fact that you have the main characters in their 40s, but they're not the only ones in love. We hear that in this book club, and I'm not going to spoil it for anybody, but there's senior relationship moments. And so was that important to you to write in? Is that something that you normally do, or is this something that you just kind of just started doing? Or
well, it's one of the features of Rendezvous Falls is when we first started the series is that it does have 3 points of view in every book. So you've got your hero and the heroine, your two main characters. And then there's also a point of view of one of the book club members, and it's a different senior each time. Because when you talk about stereotypes, in romance novels, when it comes to older parents or grandparents' age, they tend to all be from like the 1952. It's like Annie M with the ruffled with the ruffled apron, and they're calling everybody sweetie and dear.
Yes.
And, when I think about it now, it's like, come on, people in their 70s were marching for peace and burning their bras. And, it's like,
Exactly.
yeah, there's nothing wrong with baking cookies, of course, but they've got a different life experience, and they're more likely to, be making fun of each other than saying sweetie.
Exactly.
And I wanted to feature that. This is the first book where that senior, usually it's one of the seniors is dealing with something, either they're adjusting to being a widow or losing a little bit of independence or something along those lines. But in this book, this is the first one where Zoe's godmother, Vicky, actually has her own romance. And what that's all about is a 70-year-old falling in love again. Yeah. And it was fun. I have to say, one of the early reviews, and the person liked the book, but she did say, she goes, I don't really want to read about people my grandparents' age doing it. And I was like,
boy,
which is fair. Any review is that's fair. But at the same time, it's like, hello, we are.
Right. I'm sorry, I'm going to be on the other end of that spectrum. I do want to read about 70-year-olds. I don't want to read about my parents or my grandparents. No. Yes, I do, because I want to know that there's life over on that end.
Exactly.
And I think too, as women, a lot of times after we get past the whole childbearing years, it's almost like we become, nuns or something, or that's the stereotype.
Right. And it's just, we don't have time for that, or we don't,
Exactly. It's like, I don't believe that's true. And I know that's not true, because
right.
And
Vicky struggled with that, she and Gordy, who they actually knew each other in high school too. I think at one point he said, you can't live your life based on the number on your driver's license. And, that's really true. You can't just, Vicky's just like, I'm 70 years old. I can't do that nonsense. It's like, why not?
Right.
And she didn't really have a good answer.
Exactly. And it's like, I'm like, guys are taking little blue pills. Who are they taking them for?
Yeah, exactly. There's
only so many other guys that they're taking them for. Well, but that's a lot more blue pills out there So I just feel like going into that stage of life, or going into the next, whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like we're just so underprepared. And so anytime I see like these representations, I love seeing that, because at least I have some kind of a reference point.
Right.
I don't feel so bad.
Yeah. And that was important to me too. It's, again, I want it to be as realistic as possible. And the fact that you can approach it with humor, which helps, because things are different as you get older, but it doesn't make them better or worse. It's just different. So if you just kind of go along with that, it can be just as enjoyable.
Exactly. And see, we don't know that as a whole. We don't know that,
we need to
know, because we don't talk about it.
Right.
We don't even talk about menopause except to make jokes. And I need to know what happens so I can be ready. So I'm happy to see that representation, not just representation for people in middle age, but representation for seniors with full lives, and the whole age positive, sex positive representation is just amazing to me. And actually just put out a podcast episode where we were talking about a book with a May-December romance, and the woman was the older one. And, we were just like, where is this representation? And then we get this book. And I'm like, here it is.
Yep.
We just need more. So I'm just happy to read that. Moving on to some more about you. I noticed in your bio you say you read the books that you like to write. So, what are some of your favorite authors, or maybe just favorite books that you like? Because I want more of this, but I don't want to have to tell you, hey, write.
Right. I'm going as fast as I can. Yeah.
Right.
A lot of my reading right now is sometimes I'm looking for things that are different than what I write. When it comes to small town romance, I love Kristen Higgins, Susan Mallory, Jill Shalvis. I like the sassiness of Jill Shalvis's characters.
Yes.
I know I was just listening to one of your podcasts and you were talking about Olivia Dade with the spoiler alert, some of those.
Yes.
Love her. I like the books with that sass to them,
Yes.
but that also feel real. They hit you in the heart at the same time. I like Samantha Young, the On Dublin Street series, Christina Lauren, Mia Sosa, The Worst Best Man. There's just so many great things. But then sometimes I'll read historical, Sarah McLean, or even paranormal with Nalini Singh and the Guild Hunters. And I'm like one of those people that always said, I don't read paranormal. No, I didn't have anything against it. It's not my thing. And then I picked up, when you have somebody who writes as well as Nalini Singh writes, and I picked up a Guild Hunter series with Raphael and Elena and the angels and the whole and vampires. And I'm thinking, I'm not going to like this book. Well, good writing will take you into any world, and it's like, I've now devoured like the whole series. I think there's one book out there yet that I haven't read. So
I have just discovered Nalini Singh, and I'm about to one click everything. I'm about to get all
she just pulls you in.
She does.
And it's like, there's sometimes I'll be reading and going, this isn't my normal type of reading, but yet it is, because it's a great story. And she makes you care about the people and the situation. So
what I'm finding is that I am kind of feeling for the characters. It's not just this person is or this individual is a vampire, this individual is and I like these, I'm team this, I find like I'm actually caring for these people, or these beings, and it's like, what? Wait a minute. I was just going into this with some paranormal action.
And it's like, I'm just sitting there going, I'm never going to read about vampires. Well, maybe not.
Right.
Maybe I will after all.
I'm reading her Side Changeling.
Series. I've read a lot of those. There's a lot of them, but
I was like, when I first started, I said, oh my gosh. She's got so many books. I've been so late to this. Oh my gosh.
Well, and it's the same thing. It's like, shapeshifters, come on. And then I'm totally into it. It's like, and I think you nailed it. The characters themselves make you care. The character isn't compelling because he's a changeling wolf or whatever. He's compelling because it's a compelling character. The backstory is something you can actually relate to. And, that's how she pulls you in. That's a goal for authors, to me, is to have that level.
Exactly. Well, you pulled me in with Zoe and Mike, I tell you.
Thank you.
I liked Mike, and I'm like, everybody's got a mic. I hope Mike doesn't see this. But anyway, everybody's got a mic. So
and he's a good guy, and he's just trying to do the best he can. And it's like, I really just want him to be that, the guy that shows up when the storm's coming, the guy that, and he's just that guy. And with Zoe, I really wanted to get into that different, we talked earlier, I've always been a fix it myself person. I owned my own house for 10 years and, patched the roof in the rain with a garbage bag and thumbtacks because it was leaking.
Really?
Yeah. That was many years ago.
This is awesome.
My dad, who's gone now, but he came over, of course, when the rain stopped, and I called him. And he got up on the roof and he's looking at it and he's shaking his head, but he looked down at me and he goes, it worked. He's like,
Exactly.
yeah, I needed something.
Yeah.
And my husband owned sewing machine and vacuum cleaner stores. If you notice, she's repairing sewing machines and
She
vacuums.
is.
That's all
Yeah.
from experience.
Yeah,
And
I
I
was gonna
worked,
ask that. I was like, so
I
what
worked
does
in the
she know
stores.
about it?
I'm not great with
Yes.
sewing machines. I'm not, my husband can tear one apart and put it back together again. But
Amazing.
I helped in the store. I actually sold a few because I wasn't a sewer, so people would come
Yeah.
in. It's like, hey, if I can do this, you can, this machine's so computerized now. But
Yeah.
vacuum cleaners, I could take a vacuum cleaner apart. I did all the service on those.
Wow.
So it was a great deal of that came from my own experience, that I wanted a heroine who had a job that wasn't necessarily typical. She wasn't the librarian or bookstore
Right.
owner or, the
Right.
typical small town job. She was the one who was going around fixing people's machines.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I immediately like gravitated to her because of that,
Yeah.
because I just, my dad was like a Mr. Fix It like that too.
Yes.
And I try to be, but I'm not. I'm more of I like interior design and I
Yeah.
like putting that kind of stuff together versus I
Yeah.
can fix something, but I will try my hand at it. But yeah,
Yeah.
like it's
Yeah.
just, it's just something that is like, I think she knows a little bit about this
Yeah.
because she's
Yeah.
really going into some detail that
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
research
Yeah.
is not going to get you that. And I was like, I'm just like, okay, 2 thumbs up for that. Love it. Love
Yeah.
it. One other thing about that is that kind of mirrors what you as far as your dynamic is the whole they were friends or whatever. And I noticed that I think it was in your acknowledgement you mentioned, some longtime friends.
Yeah.
What about the friends to lovers trope, kind of drew you in? Was it I have those friends and I want to pay homage, or do you like that trope as a trope?
I like the trope, and for some reason I hadn't really written one. I mean, I've had some where they co-workers, kind of friends,
Okay.
became lovers, but this was my first where I just dove into the long time friendship, and then I took it even further and made it really long time. But I don't know if it's a right word, but I want to say there's a gentleness to the arc of friends to lovers.
Hmm.
That's, as much as I love the sass of the enemy to lover, banter back and forth, there was something really gentle and fun about seeing the arc with Mike and Zoe and how that developed. It was a bit of a slow burn
Yeah.
because of that weight, but at the same time, it was kind of fun that everyone else could see what was happening and they couldn't.
Yes.
They're like, "What, are you crazy, Mike? Oh no, ew."
I love that. And I love that too. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah.
And then all of a sudden there was just kind of oh, Mike.
Right.
It surprised me, even as I did, as I say, that sweetness and gentleness to the story arc and the nervousness, because it really is
Hmm.
it's a legitimate fear. I mean, think of somebody you've been friends
Yeah.
with for a long time, whether male or female, and risking that, losing that friendship if things go wrong. So it's, the stakes are big.
Right,
Yeah.
right, exactly. For me, it's like with enemies to lovers, it feels like it has to be sharp and everything
Yeah.
has to be action packed,
Yeah.
to get that enemies to lovers, whatever out.
Right.
And here it's like, I'm still feeling the heat and the tension, but they're just looking at each other,
Right.
and they're just like, or they're just
Yeah.
saying something and then one of them says, yeah, this is kind of awkward. Maybe
Yeah,
we shouldn't say
exactly.
this like this.
Yeah. They
And it's
start
like you
joking about
feel
things, and yeah.
right, right,
Yeah.
and you feel it as intense. It's an intense feel without the sharp actiony stuff that you
Right.
have
Right.
to do with enemies to lovers.
Well, thank you. I'm glad that came across, because it was like, that was kind of the way I was feeling, even if sometimes when you're writing, you're watching at the same time, because
Yes.
the characters take you where they want to go. And just kind of watching that arc was really fun,
Yeah,
to do.
yeah, yeah. And speaking of slow burn, This cover, by the way, I'm sorry, I keep showing the cover, everybody. I keep showing it. But this cover is a little misleading.
Yes.
Because yes, while it is a slow burn, when it burns, it burns.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, there's fire here. This is not a I know some of my audience likes to know heat levels of books, and I'm gonna say this is spicy, steamy a little bit.
Yeah.
You get a little bit of, you get at least one good open door scene.
Right.
So for those of you who like sweet and who are looking at this cover and thinking sweet, it is not sweet.
Yeah. Well, it is sweet, but it's sexy.
Yeah. Sweet and sex.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And that tends to be with my books. The way you described it is there's usually one, I would say, major love scene. But for me, when I'm writing the love scenes, that's such a moment of vulnerability. Mm-hmm. That first love scene to me they're just so vulnerable. Yeah. In that moment. So I do tend to really take that first love scene and follow it through in more detail. After that, it tends to be a little bit more off page. It depends on what they're up to. But yeah.
I totally get that from that. And two, and that's why we say here is like spicy, but not steamy, because you do get that more vulnerable side.
Yeah.
And you get the emotions and the feelings around the love scene that is shown on page, that there's just no way you could get that same vulnerability, especially with something like a Friends to Lovers, where we're already talking about this kind of arc. But you're saying that's how you do with all of your novels.
And there's different emotions with each one, but to me that the love scene is about emotion. To me, it's not, the physical act is there, but to me the scene is about the emotion, whether it's anger to lovemaking, or whether it's this really slow, cautious kind of giggling their way into to making love the first time, when they're laughing and searching for condoms. But
which is, I love that. Thank you for the searching for condoms. Yes. Thank you for the condoms.
Oh, yes,
thank you
absolutely.
for the and thank you for the consent. Now,
consent is sexy and protection is sexy. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer in that. I get that in every book in one form or another. That there's 100% consent, and they're both on the same page. When I say anger to lovemaking, it never goes right from anger to that. There's always that, all right, we're doing this, the heck with it. Okay. But yes, we're both on the same page. Yeah.
Right. That's great. We talked a little bit about the kids and about about the teenager Hazel, but we didn't talk a lot about the other kids. Is it just, are you thinking about maybe making this kind of a generational thing? Because we do see a lot of kids in this, or is this just part of the small town you're focusing on?
Yeah, I think it's the small town. I don't do children in all my books. It's not having children myself, other than, as I say, grown stepchildren by the time I got married. I don't think children are necessary for a happily ever after. I don't, a lot of times it's, the epilogue is always where the baby is born.
Right.
And I've done a few of those too. But to me, it's not necessary for the happily ever after. But at the same time, of course, lots of people have children. They add a layer of complexity to a relationship. So it's fun to get them in the stories. But I know almost in every other book for me, it's like one of them might be a single parent.
Right. Okay.
Because they do, when you're writing a story and children are in it, they can take up a lot of real estate in the story. So it's hard to kind of balance that and make sure that everybody has a right. You don't want to suddenly go, hey, what happened to that kid they had? 50 pages ago.
Exactly.
But you also don't want the story suddenly to become about the children and not the main character. So it's a bit of a balancing act. A lot of times I've got colored Post-it notes all over my door, keeping track of who's showing up and how often, and especially with the book club as well, trying to keep that balance so nobody gets forgotten or gets lost.
And speaking of that, keeping up with the characters and everything, is book 5 is that one more book, or are we seeing more? I'm seeing, never mind, I won't talk about what I'm seeing.
I hope to see more. That's at this point, that a lot of that is, up to publishers, and we'll see where it goes. If not in Rendezvous Falls, there's another series I'm just beginning to play with that would be, they still are all going to have those same notes of, I grew up in a small town, but that was more of the suburbs. So when I do the small town, I like to do it as near a city, near population, and a little bit more multi-layered in the community. And I'm working on a new series. So I'd like to see more from Rendezvous Falls. I really have a lot of fun there, and like the characters, but we'll see.
Yeah, without spoiling it, I have my favorites. That's all I'm gonna say. Otherwise, I'm gonna spoil something.
Well, I'll tell you, I don't know if you read the novella at the end that's included with the book, but that character Zane, the main character Zane and Andrea, Zane was the kind of hermit brother of the main character in the first book, Slow Dancing at Sunrise.
Okay.
Right here. And he was barely mentioned. And it was just like, the family had been really down on their luck. Their dad died in prison, their mom, just a really hard luck, other side of the tracks family. And so this one brother had kind of made his way out of that in Slow Dancing at Sunrise. People started saying, well, where's Zane? When are you going to write about Zane? I'm like, I mentioned Zane like 3 times in the whole
my
book.
gosh.
So it's like every book I kept mentioning, Zane got a new job and started building a career for himself in woodworking. And then in another book, he showed up, it actually showed up in a scene instead of just being mentioned. So in that novella, he finally gets his happily ever after, because readers were like, it's Zane, finally.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna ask. I'm like, is this bonus story in all the
Yeah, no, there's not a bonus story in all of them, but they just tied this one in, and
because it's Zane.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So everybody, when sparks fly, they will get Zane's.
Yes, Lost in Love.
Yeah. Lost in Love, yes. Bonus. Yeah. Okay, great. I love it. I haven't really done this before, but I've always wanted to do this as kind of a rapid fire round.
Oh no.
But it doesn't have to be rapid fire. But don't take too long to think about these questions. They're mostly faves. So what is the first romance that you read and that you thought, hey, this is what I want to do, write romance?
I'm going old school with that. It would be Victoria Holt book, way back when, King of the Castle by Victoria Holt. Yeah.
Okay.
And I was like early teenager.
And you were like, yes, gotta write this.
Yeah.
What is your favorite trope?
I really like enemies to lovers. I like that little zing. I still fall back onto that one.
Yep. Yeah. What is the best book boyfriend that you wrote?
Oh, that I wrote. It sounds silly, but Mike is right up there. I'm looking at a stack of books here, but it would be either Mike or Finn O'Hearn, who was in another Rendezvous Falls book, Barefoot on a Starlit Night. And only because he was Irish, like right from Ireland.
So, nice.
Had the Irish brogue. You got to go for that.
Of course. So what about the best book boyfriend that you didn't write?
I'm going to say it'd be probably Samantha Young, and I'm going to draw a blank on the name, which is awful. But on Dublin Street, I can't think of his name, but yeah, he was just kind of rugged and honest and determined. He had a little bit of Mike in him, but with a little more swagger.
Nice, nice. Okay. We already talked about your favorite HGTV personalities,
Yeah.
Property Brothers, and you like the Love It or List It duo. What was your favorite book of yours to write? Like the one that you had the most fun writing?
Long roundabout story with that one, but it was actually the second book I wrote, and that was in the Gallant Lake series for special edition.
Okay.
And it wasn't the first. It wasn't the first book I sold. I sold the book I wrote. The next book was the first book sold, but I never
Wow.
gave up on this story. It ended up being published as it started at Christmas, and it did really well. It won New England Reader's Choice Award, and so it paid off. But I had to kind of fight to get it published. But I loved the story so much. And funny, as we were talking about paranormal, this, I always say there's a bit of a ghost in it. You can't really have a bit of a ghost. But yes, with special edition are not supposed to be paranormal, but it's like, trust me, we've got to do this. And the editor agreed. And she's the original owner of an American castle, basically. And there's a lot of those in New York State, these beautiful literal castles that were built at the turn of the last century. And I've toured several of them, and I just love them. So that's what the book was based on, is in this castle, but being renovated. And the woman is actually, of course, an interior designer. Why not?
Of course.
And I had a blast writing that book, and it really meant something. I had an opportunity to get it published earlier, if I'd have taken the ghost out, and I couldn't do it. She's too much a part of the story. It's not the same story. So I stuck to my guns. For all the authors out there, don't give up if you got a story you believe in, because it was rejected 3 times before it got out there. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is awesome, though. That is so awesome.
And I've always said that's a book of my heart. It started at Christmas. I don't think I have it here, but
I'm telling you, I had so much fun talking with you, Jo. And on that note, that hopeful note, because of course I'm a bit of a writer myself and trying to get a story out there that I believe in. Tell us where we can find you. Are you online, your socials, your website? How can we get this book?
Yeah. Well, the purchase links are all on my website, which is jomcnallyromance.com. And then you'll see all the books there and all the buy links. So it's jomcnallyromance.com. I'm on Facebook as Jo McNally author. I'm on Pinterest. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter, although I'm not as much book oriented on Twitter, because that's the wild, wild west of,
yes, it is.
of the universe. But I enjoy it. I'm just not always book focused. But I'm on Facebook a lot. I've got a readers group. I've got my Jo McNally author page, plus just my regular profile. I like the conversational qualities. I mean, Facebook can have its issues, but I like that conversational, really getting to know people feeling of Facebook. So, and Instagram, I just share pictures of the dog and food.
Oh, but we love it. We love pets. Oh, okay. Yes, we love pets, and we're down with food. Yes.
There you go.
So everybody, we will also have all of those links on the show notes for this episode. We are now on nerdyromanticspodcast.com. That's where you'll find these show notes. And actually, you can subscribe to our newsletter, and we will give away a copy of When Sparks Fly in our newsletter, in our September edition of our newsletter. So if you're not subscribed, subscribe, because you could get a copy of this wonderful book. Jo, thank you so much for being on the podcast with me. And it was great meeting with you and great talking with you.
It was fun. I feel like we were like sitting over a cup of coffee together. It felt very comfortable. So thank you so much.
Awesome. And so everybody remember nerdyromanticspodcast.com, and we will have all the links for Jo's socials and her website where you can buy this wonderful book.
Thanks so much.
So that's all for this episode. We've got a new website at nerdyromanticspodcast.com. But don't fear, all of our episodes and their show notes are on our new website. While you're there, please consider donating to our podcast with the donate button at the top right-hand corner or the Buy Me a Coffee button on the show notes for each episode. Your donations go straight to keeping this podcast on the air and keeping all of our episodes out there for you to listen to whenever you want to. If you want to get our show notes in your inbox, please consider signing up for our Nerdy Romantics newsletter. The sign-up form is at the bottom of each page on our new website. Thank you for listening.